When is it time to stop trying to lose fat and take a break? Maybe you've been dieting now for 6 months or a year straight. You got some progress, but you're not at your goal yet, and you already feel like you're stuck grinding and it's not going anywhere. And especially if you have a lot of fat left to lose, taking a break in that situation can feel like you're failing. But as I'm gonna explain in this video, it might be exactly what you need to reach your goal. I'm gonna go over 5 signs that show you might need to stop your fat loss phase, increase calories, and take a break from dieting. And if you're experiencing 3 or more of these signs, I would highly urge you to hit pause and carefully consider your next step. Now, the first sign is being stuck in what I call pseudo-dieting. This is a situation where hunger levels are getting out of control, you're irritable, there's underlying anxiety when the next meal is coming, and a persistent feeling of urgency to eat. And on some days, this leads to extra snacks, binges, and unaccounted calories, so you end up barely losing any weight. This is actually one of the worst situations to be in, because you're mentally dieting, but you're not seeing progress. You're experiencing all the negatives of restriction without any of the benefits. And I often see guys stuck on this roller coaster for months, losing again the same 5-10 pounds over and over, feeling frustrated and disappointed in themselves. Pseudo-dieting typically happens after you've already lost a significant amount of body fat, because leptin, one of our satiety hormones, is produced by fat cells. Less body fat means less circulating leptin and less satiety from your meals. And ghrelin, the hunger hormone, gets upregulated during a calorie deficit. Combine those two things with a metabolic adaptation, which naturally occurs during a diet, it quickly becomes a struggle. I've had many coaching clients who came to me after spending 4 or 5 months stuck in the pseudo-dieting phase, getting nowhere. And in this case, we usually start with a maintenance phase to reset and get things under control, and only then proceed to the ultimate goal. And there's no rule saying that you have to lose all your body fat at once. Actually, a lot of people will do better alternating focus phases of losing 10% of their total body weight, followed by a short break, and then another push to lose the next chunk of body fat. This is way more effective than being in this fake calorie deficit where you're not seeing any progress, but you feel very restricted. Now, the second sign you might want to consider stopping a cut is when you're objectively getting too skinny. And I've personally been in this exact situation. At 5'10", 178 centimeters, I was as low as 143 pounds, so 65 kilos, trying to get rid of that last bit of fat that I had on my lower abs. I looked very depleted and weak. I was so skinny, I could barely fill out an S-size shirt. People around me were worried and asking if I was sick. The problem was that I had a lot less muscle than I initially thought, and I made the mistake of continuing to chase shredded lower abs when I should have increased my calories and focused more on building muscle. A simple heuristic you can use to calculate this low point in body weight is take your height in centimeters minus 112. If your weight in kilograms is below that, you should seriously consider switching your focus to building more muscle and hitting that like button for faster gains. For someone that's 5'10" like myself, that's 178 centimeters minus 112, which is 66 kilos or 145 pounds. That's the low end. In hindsight, as soon as I saw that number on the scale or even gotten close to that, I should have switched to a lean bulk to build a bit more muscle before trying to get to 10% body fat. Now, the third sign you may need to get out of a calorie deficit and start eating more calories is if you lost more than 10% of your strength in the gym. And I don't mean having 1 or 2 bad workouts. That happens to everybody. What I mean, consistently feeling drained and weaker, when even your warm-up weight starts feeling very heavy and you can't seem to recover between the sessions. Major strength losses shouldn't be happening unless you're already at 10 or 12% body fat or lower. It's a sign that most people unfortunately ignore because they're only focused on the scale. While it can feel like a win to see the weight go down, if you're rapidly losing strength, it's very likely also losing muscle. This increases your risk of fat regain due to a slower metabolism, and you'll also end up skinny fat, which is not the physique most people want. Getting great results is about body composition, not scale weight. There's a massive difference between being 180 pounds or 81 kilos at 25% body fat and at 12% body fat. When I work with beginner and intermediate clients, most of the time they're getting stronger while losing body fat, and the end result is a much healthier, stronger, more developed lean physique. And a part of that is being patient and using a more moderate calorie deficit, aiming to lose 1 to 1.5 pounds per week instead of going very fast. I find that aggressive calorie deficits work great for, say, a 4 to 6 week mini cut with experienced lifters, but it's not the best if you're struggling with consistency or if you don't have a decent amount of muscle on you. Now, the fourth sign you might want to stop your cut is when your quality of life is compromised. And this point goes beyond aesthetics. You can become so food focused that it starts distracting you from work and other responsibilities. I've been there. It's also common to feel lethargic and low energy, and there's poor sleep, which amplifies all these negative effects. So you end up very agitated and stressed because nothing is getting done. Fitness doesn't happen in isolation. Of course, getting lean is important and in the long run will improve your productivity and energy, but in the short term, if you have a very important project that has to get done and it's time sensitive and you can't keep up with things, consider increasing calories, either to maintenance or use a smaller deficit. It may take a bit longer to reach your goal, but it's going to be a lot more sustainable. And realistically, what's the rush? Are you a competitive bodybuilder? Do you have a show coming up? Well, this video is probably not for you. There is no competition for who's going to build a healthy lifestyle faster. Learning how to juggle multiple life goals and being effective with limited time and energy and being able to make those types of trade-off is actually the key to sustainable results. This is a perspective that I wish someone gave me when I first started, because I was way too rigid with my approach, and instead of fitness improving the quality of my life, in a lot of situations like social events and relationships, it was making things worse until I found balance. Now, the fifth sign to consider a break is when you've been dieting for way too long and you're mentally burned out. Diet fatigue is real. After months of consistently tracking macros, controlling calories, planning out meals, and maintaining high discipline, it takes a toll on you. The enthusiasm you had at the beginning slowly gets replaced with dread when thinking about meal prepping, weighing out food, and keeping the routine. While there's no problem physically, mentally you might be reaching a breaking point. Ignoring this and pushing for too long can result in completely losing motivation and quitting altogether. And from my experience, those who quit from burnout have a very hard time getting back on track. Often they think it's not even worth it. And people do break under pressure and they start looking for ways to escape this feeling of being imprisoned by the routine. They start having cheat meals, cheat days, drinks on the weekends, and it can quickly escalate into an all or nothing mentality. Your mind needs a break just as much as your body does. Recognizing this sign early is very important to prevent a complete burnout. Often, all it takes is a structured break to higher calories with fewer rules and less tracking to mentally recharge and come back fresh and ready to get after it. On a macro level, I recommend that these maintenance phases be about half the duration of your fat loss phase. So if you've been cutting for a year, consider spending 5 to 6 months in maintenance. It will make you less food obsessed, you can focus on other goals in the gym like getting stronger, and you're learning how to maintain results, which is one of the most valuable skills you can have. In my experience working with clients, these intentional breaks after prolonged dieting phases make the entire journey more sustainable and enjoyable. And if you'd like me to coach you on your journey and cut through all the BS and get this done, details for coaching are in the description below, so check those out. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.